Well, hello everyone. How are you all doing? It's your boy Akis Snow here, and this one will be the last one in the series of Python fundamentals. What was the name? PPT, Python preparation and training. So this would be the last one for that series, last video for that series, and hope you guys learned something from this series. And feel free to share it with someone who wants to learn Python through problems. And this one would be the shorter one. I believe the questions mentioned here are pretty easy. If you know about list comprehension, closures in iterators, and file reading and writing, like the IO operations which can be performed, stuff like that. So that's why the name is miscellaneous of this block. Okay, so without further ado, we know what needs to be done. Let's finish the thing. Mhm. Okay. What is the expected output of the following code? Mhm. So the question is in the left and the answers are in the right. Mhm. Let's see the function. So here they have passed a function. I believe you know a bit about lambda. Let me just quickly give you a preview. So we have function written like this: def function name and the parameters, the colon and then the body. Fine. And then we have the return statement. Something is always returned from a function. It's either none or, I mean, if nothing is mentioned, like if return is not mentioned, then none is returned. So even if we write it just as this, just like this, return, and we don't mention anything over here, then it returns null, none. So yeah, this is the default syntax of a function. How we can write in lambda is basically creating a function without actually having a name for it. So, and based on different situations, we can leverage that functionality, leverage this syntax. So, for this respective function, we can write it like so. In the extra things which are or the default things which are present in a function are removed when we write a lambda function. So, def is always present in a function. This can be removed. The function name itself has been removed because we don't require it. Return statement can also be removed because this is again something default which we see. Of course, body needs to be there and the parameters which we pass. So we write it just like this: lambda, the parameters that are being passed, colon is there to differentiate between the left and the body from the heading, and then the return statement. What shall be returned from this functionality or the body? I mean, after calculation or something, what needs to be returned? So we can just write x plus y. So that would also be the body of the function. It's mostly just a single line. We cannot like write many statements inside lambda function. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Mm, let's go back to the question. What is the expected output of the following code? So we are passing a function inside this f function, and which is being captured as L. By the way, this is not a good what shall we say, pep. So I mean, good way of writing a code. These L and one look similar, right? L and this is also basically L. So these things look similar. That's why Python community recommends that we should avoid using this type of naming conventions. You would read about it in PEP guidelines. Okay, but anyways, we can still use it. I mean, it's not it is frowned upon and it's not liked by the debuggers or the coding community, but it is still legal to use it. So let's see. This hasn't passed, and minus 3 and 3 are would be the parameters, respective parameters for x and y. and then we do try to perform this operation. So here it says if minus 3 is greater than 3, then do this, otherwise do that. I mean, then return this, otherwise return that. So this is false. That means the else part would be running and 3 would be returned. Okay, 3 would be the answer for this one. What is the expected output of the following code? S is equal to lambda. Okay, so we are passing minus 273 in x. Cool. Is x equal to 0? No. That means this won't be returned. Let's go to the else segment. Um, I believe the order of execution would be from left to right. You would check this one, but I believe that should be the case for this case, for this type of scenarios. So we went to the else section, and here we saw is x greater than 0? No, that is also not correct. We see it's a negative value. That means 1 would be returned, minus 1 would be returned. Okay, minus 1. Fine. What is the expected output of the following code? I hope the screen is big enough. What is the expected output of the following code? Okay, we are trying to calculate the length of what is being returned from here. So this is a list comprehension thing. So in list comprehension, we have three major part. First is we define, I mean, we put angular brackets. No, no, not angular brackets. Square brackets, and then we have an expression. I mean, which we uh, which we need to evaluate. I mean, expression, and then a looping condition for in. Okay, so I believe these three things are important in it. If we put these bracket, I believe the thing changes to iterator. Um, I mean, for example, this range in itself is an iterator or a closure. So it's just that when we try to pick a value from this range thing, na, so it has a start, it has a stop, and it has a step. Okay, and what is happening inside it is it just goes inside the function, picks a value, and gets comes back and perform the operations which are supposed to be performed. That is why it is used in for. Okay, and then again it goes back to the range function, and then it's not that it starts from in a fresh way. So the state of the variables passed inside this range function are still saved inside the function, or you can say the closure or the iterator. So that is why when you call this range function in for loop, you get values like 1 2 3 4 dot 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 till whatever is the condition, depending upon the condition. So, and as soon as this condition ends, I mean, it goes to a value beyond or up till stop, then an exception is thrown, and that is how it stops to execute. It is not the case that exception is passed throughout the function from here, but the exception is what tells the for loop that to end the looping or to end picking up the values from this. It is over range for. And that is why for is different and while is different. While works in just a condition way, and for has another functionality. So this would tell you why we have two ways of looping inside Python. Just a general knowledge thing if you don't know about it. So yeah, um, cool. So yeah, let's focus on the question then. For x for x in range 1 till 10, and we were stepping to three braces. So you must be knowing that if you put 1 comma 10, then it starts from 1 and goes till 9. minus 1 times of what the stop is. So, and we have 3. So, two places would be skipped. We would pick 1 and then 4 and then 7. And it would have tried to pick 10, but that is not available. So, only 3 values will be picked. Okay. And then it is having a condition or at the end which says if x modulo 2 is equal to 0, that means only the even number would be picked. Fine. That means if we calculate the length of this entire string, L only one was picked, right? 4. So L has 4 in it, and the length would come out to be 1. Fine. What is the expected output of the following code? Mhm. Okay. So foo goes from x for x in range 4. Foo has 0, 1, 2, 3. Let's see what spam has. Spam goes from 1 till minus 1. From 1 till minus 1. Minus 1 is the last value. And again, this value would be skipped because in case of slicing, first one up till minus 1, 1 less than the end part. So only this part would be picked, 1 and 2. That means if we pick the 1th index from spam, that would be 2 because this is 0th index and this is 1. So 2 would be returned. Hope that was clear. I do not, conduct live classes or so I cannot tell if that explanation was fine or some more explanations required. So I'm gonna go ahead. Um, which of the following lines contain valid Python code? Okay, so you remember the lambda expression or the lambda syntax, which I told in the starting of the video. So there are no braces inside this expression. The parameters are given directly, so this is wrong. Let's this one looks correct. We just wrote lambda parameter and just return none from it. That is fine. There is no equal to inside this. We require colon to tell that to differentiate the parameters from the body. This is wrong and this looks fine. This is perfect. This seems perfect. So what this function would do is if you give 3, it will return 4, 2, 3, and so on. Which of the following lines contain valid Python code? Can I cover two questions? No, let's not do that. Which of the following lines contain valid Python code? Okay, this looks good straight away because we have a string and we are just slicing it. Even in case the values are passed, this is valid string, valid Python code in itself. But even in case the values are passed beyond the length of the string, still it won't throw any exception or error. It's just a thing or cool thing about string, so that when we slice it and give some value, it doesn't throw any exception, even if the value is beyond the length of the string. This is correct. What the heck is this? This is not allowed. We require colon. Hmm, this is not allowed. What? Why are we mentioning the function name? The whole purpose of lambda is destroyed. This is fine. Absolutely fine. Cool. Let's go to the next question. What is the expected output of the following code? def f a comma b return a b. What is the expected output of the following code? Okay, so you see there is a lambda function which has been passed, and there's this expression which has been passed. So this expression would be passed is just that it when it would evaluate one is greater than zero, so true would be passed, and so the b would become true, and when you pass this method over here. अच्छा पिन कोड बता सकते हो पिन कोड वीडियो रिकॉर्ड कर रहा था पिन कोड कहाँ का हाँ 208007 208007 sorry for that so true is passed over b, and yeah, and then when you see this function, and inside that function we are passing that true value, inside that lambda function we are passing that true value. So let's pass true over here, true inside of x, true, and true would return true. You see it over this place, true and true would return true, and that would be the that would be returned, and that would be printed out. What is the expected output of the following code? We have one, and then the function, lambda function. Inside this lambda function, we are trying to do something. I mean, we are trying to return a part of this V list. You can see over here, and we have this V list at the top. Let's see what it would do. So it would call the G function. We will pass one, and then the lambda function over here. Okay, cool. One would be passed over here inside the lambda function itself. So let's see what it evaluates. 1 x comma x colon 1 plus y plus 1 would give 1 colon 2, and as the slicing goes it would just be picking up 1 up till 2 minus 1, that basically means 1. So v of 1 would be returned, and that would be 2. Although I don't understand why this would be an angular bracket, this square bracket. I believe when we just write v of 1, it would give 2 as a return, but there's no option of 2, so I'm going to go with the square bracket 2. Maybe it's because they have sliced it over here. That might be the reason. I mean, they have sliced it and then that value is being returned. So that is why it is written like this instead of direct. It directly didn't put the value over here, right? It used the slice operator and then those values were evaluated. That is why this square bracket 2 would be returned. Cool. What is the expected output of the following code? I'll try to do two in one screen itself. Okay. Hmm. Expected output of the following code. We are passing list new vector 1. Mhm. And in new vector we have map function. We have three values in the list: alpha, bravo, and charlie. And when we would be using this map function, uh, those value would be passed one after another. inside this first half of the map function, and you would see the zeroth index value. That means A from Bravo, A from Alpha, B from Bravo, and C from Charlie would be picked, and they would be converted into upper case by this function. So that map value would be returned, and then that map value, I don't remember what this map function actually returns. Hmm. It does not give uh, list or tuple by default. There is some part in between which needs to be uh, uh, what's the term you use to convert data type would be converted to list, that value which has been passed by map. Okay. Okay, fine. And then that value is first index would be picked. That means ABC, from ABC it would pick the uh, first index value. That means B, and that is converted to upper. You remember, we converted it to upper. Cool. That's what I write. Okay, that's what I wrote, right? What is the expected output of the following code? Hmm. So we have a vector or a vect list which has been passed to filter. So in filter, what happens is the values where the operation performed inside the first half of this filter function. If the values passed to it comes out to be true or evaluates things to be true, only then those values are kept. Otherwise, those are discarded. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I believe after after filter function, it doesn't need to be um, typecasted. Uh, It doesn't need to be converted to list. That is why we have directly used it. Um, okay, so here we are passing these. That's like in last case we would pass each value one by one, and the minus one at index. That means the last values A, O, and E would be picked. Those would be converted to upper. That means capital A, capital O, and capital E. And we would check if this is in A or O or not, in this part or not. So this is there, this is there, this is not. That means the new vector would contain only these value. Cool. And that is what we would be printing. Oh, no, no, no. See, when I told that the filter function would be performed, and then we would check if the expression evaluates to true. The original values are what I'm sure about it. The original values which are placed, which came to the function for evaluation, would be passed to the new vector or the place which is being assigned to filter. Okay, so I would just quickly go through it again. So that part was true that the values would be picked one by one. The entire value is picked. Find the last value has been picked from them. So A, O, E has been picked, and they have been converted to upper and being checked if they are present in A or O or not. So the first value qualifies, second value qualifies according to the condition. The last value doesn't. That means alpha and bravo are what being passed to new vector. Cool. As it is, as they present inside our list itself. So nothing, no changes have been made on to them. It's just that they have been evaluated based on the condition present inside the first half of this filter and the function itself. Okay, so then those values are looped in for function, and then we see if we are, I mean, what is being happening. So inside that loop, they are printing the x1. Okay, so the L, you see this index, right? 0 1 2 3 dot 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 0 1 2 3 dot dot dot. So L would be picked from here, R would be picked from here, and they are both in small because no changes have been made. Cool. Okay, what is the expected output of the following code? Def code. Okay, so let's see the code, and then we will go on to the function. We have dblq is equal to quote. Okay, so here you can see the closure uh, concept being implemented. So a function has a function inside it, inner function, and not only just it have it as an inner function, that function has been returned as well. You see return embed, so that inner function is being returned. So that's what the concept of closure basically means. So we have dblq is equal to quote, single quotes and the double quote inside it. Okay, simple enough. So we have a string called double quote. That's what is here, and then we will try to print dblq as a function. So because it basically is a function, because inside this quote function, that embed function is being returned. So this thing would work as a function, could work as a function as well. Mhm. Okay. Imagine if this embed function also has a function inside it, def bar, then even that, so you can even use dblq some value and then another some value to go up till this blah function. Hope that was clear. But that's not the case, so let's focus. Jane Doe is being passed inside over here as a str, and then we are trying to return QUO plus str plus QUO. So remember, I told that the functionality or the values or the state of the outer function are retained, and that is the case over here. I mean, retained because it has been assigned to dblq. Okay, so we have double quotes over here, and then Jane Doe, and then double quotes again. This is Jane Doe, by the way. Mm, Fine, double quotes, Jane Doe, double quotes, cool, simple. There are like 18 questions in this segment, but these are pretty simple enough and straightforward as long as you are paying attention. Um, let's see what is the expected output. Action is equal to increment minus one. I don't know why I'm not feeling that easy. Inc minus one. Fine. Minus one has been passed over here, and that would be contained. And then action as a function, we pass two. So two would be over here, simple, and then that would return 2 plus minus 1. Cool. That would be equal to 1. So that would be the answer. Hope the size is not too small. Which of the following statements are true? The upper function returns false when its operation fails. No, it throws an error or an exception if it fails. So this is wrong. The print function writes its output to the std or stream. That is absolutely true. Okay, so these type of things you would know if you would have read about this file operations which are performed on file. The read mode, you open this file in read mode, write mode, or append mode, and there are different type of operations which can be performed. And if those operations have some type of error, then different type of std out, different types of errors are thrown. Okay, err. mm, I know, I think is there different types of lots and lots of error. Just like in case of web applications, we have error 404, or we have yeah, like 404, 600 ones are there, and lots of errors are there for different to showcase different type of problems. There are different type of errors which are thrown or raised in case of in case some file operation is having a problem. Cool. Mm, The second argument of the open function is an integer value. No. So open has syntax something like this: open file name, and then the mode of opening, write, read, or whatnot. Again as a string. So it's not an integer. STD in STD or STDER are the name of pre-open streams. Yes, that is true. Three streams are always open, and these are the three. I mean, unless you close them uh, manually. Which of the following statements are true? Mm, The second argument of the open function is a string. Oh, trying to write. Okay, the second argument of the open function is string. That is correct. Trying to, just like I explained earlier, the modes are present in the second half, the second part, or in the second argument. Trying to write a function open and read. Trying to write a file opened in a read-only mode, it removes its content. Mm, I don't think this operation is would be allowed because it's open in read-only mode and we are trying to write on it. So I don't think this would be even allowed, let alone does something on the file. The open function raises an exception when its operation fails. That is correct. And two answers are correct, so this would be also be wrong. Read, write, and delete are the names of file modes. The system that allows you to diagnose input output errors in Python is error no. I believe this is the correct answer. Others are just made up names. There is no rule to track. Which method is used to break the connection between the file handle and a physical file? So, so we use close function to break the connection between the file handle and the physical file. And this would come through practice or just by knowing the syntax of how we could break the connection or how we close the connection between file handle and physical file. Okay. What is the expected output of the following code if there is no file named non-existing file in the, okay, there is no file named this in the directory and the open function invocation is successful. Hmm. Okay. First thing would be printed out fine because the open function invocation is successful. So this worked fine. It came onto the second line. It this worked fine. So one would be in the answer. That means this can't be the answer. F dot read line. This operation won't be allowed because we are trying to read from a file which is not existing. Okay, there is no file as such. This would raise an exception. and it would be handled over here, and 3 would be printed out. So answer would be 1 and 3. It won't go to the else part. Else part is executed only if the exception part is not executed. I believe we are in the last question of this entire series. What is the expected output of the following code if the file named existing text file is a non-zero length text file? Okay, so we have this ETF file which has some content inside it, non-zero length text file located in the working directory, and the open function invocation successful. Okay, everything worked fine. We try to read the lines. Okay, okay, and then we try to print the length of this content. So when we do f dot read line, it would just read a first line. If we call it again f dot read line, it would read a second line until uh, the end of the string or the end of the file is. I mean, when there's no until there is no content to read. So line by line, it would have read if we have used read line, but we use read lines. So by the way, be cautious in when you're trying to read lines because it would try to like put all the details of the file one line after another as a list inside the this variable which we are trying to assign it to. So if the file is like ridiculously big, then your system or the program could fail. The application could just break down because it's trying to read lines from a very huge file. So avoid using. I believe you should avoid using read lines, and there is some uh, limitation which you can, I believe, pass inside this function itself, so that after certain range or after certain number of lines, it stops, and then you can pass the next batch of lines inside another variable also. So that would be a better way of doing things. So, but anyway, in this case, when we executed the second line, the lines inside the file as a list would be stored inside spam, and then would be printed out. Cool. So the length of the last line, no, the number of lines contained inside the file would be printed out. Phew. So yeah, I believe it would be right time to write this thing. Yeah, that would be the end of the series. So we covered Python from like beginner to intermediate level questions, somewhere in between. This is definitely not advanced stuff. For example, I believe this term called meta programming, and advanced oops concepts are there, which are actually what are being used in the industry. So questions regarding that might see a series for those in the future. Definitely not right now. So hope you guys learned something from this series, and I did as well while preparing for it. Hmm. Let me know in the comments if you have anything to add. If you find some problems in this way of teaching, or if there's some improvement I can make going forward. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Take care. Bye bye.